Okay, so today what I'm going to show you is a bit of a hack that I've used quite a lot of times for helping to prevent punctures. Anyone who's got a tubeless tire will be used to this kind of process. It's essentially the same, which is that what we do here is we get this little tool. If you haven't got one, this comes with the Muck-Off brand that I'm going to use of sealant, but you can find them elsewhere, or you can just use a pair of long nose pliers. And what we do is, you'll see, obviously you have to have an inner tube which has got a removable core to the valve. And you'll see, you can tell the difference because there's a little flat edge. And again, if you look at this, you can see it's got a kind of round hole and a sort of oblong hole or oval hole. And what we do is we put that until it sits over the valve core, and then we will, I'll show you a little bit closer. You'll just wind this, so you can see it there, valve core out very quickly. There we go, and that's the valve core. There we go, there. So we've taken that out and we put that on one side. Don't lose it, obviously, with a little tool. Now what we've got is a hole here in the top of the valve. And what we need to do is to put some sealant into that, and I'll show you how you do that. Before we do that, there's lots of different types of sealant. This is quite good. You can buy it for as I say, tubeless tires. These are I think I got these for tubs, but it doesn't really matter. Now this is the one I'm going to use. They've actually called it inner tube sealant. To be honest, it's exactly the same as the one that they used to produce before for tubeless tires. They've just discovered that obviously people have got a bit of a like me, have decided that they can use it on inner tubes, so they market it specifically as that. So this actually comes with a tube, but it's long since got a bit crappy, so I'm not going to use that. And it actually comes with a tube out here, which you can then use instead of a syringe. But I'm going to use a syringe, because apart from anything else, I think it's a bit less messy. It can get a bit messy, this. Now this, obviously, is a fairly standard syringe. And what we're going to do is we're going to undo this, and we're then just going to pop it in the sealant, and we're going to pull up, we hope, a load of sealant to about there. That's about 50 mil-ish, something like that, which is what you'll need. And as I say, it can be a bit messy, so as well to have a bit of kitchen towel or something on hand, like I've got here, and we'll just wipe that off. So that you can, you don't get sealant everywhere, because it's not very nice. Well, it's all right, but it's not much fun. Okay, so now what we do, normally, if you can see this here, you essentially, if this was on, the wheel was on the bike, you put it between about 9 and 12 o'clock, something like this. And if you had a valve, I'll try and show you this in close up. If you can see there. Now there's a gap. Now this particular syringe end has got a screw, which will screw onto most valves, but unfortunately this valve that I've got here hasn't got that. So I'm just going to put a bit of tape around it like that. We will get probably a bit of leakage, because you always do, but hopefully that will minimize it. And then what we do is we turn it back round to 6 o'clock, fairly obviously. And hopefully you can see that. And then what I'm going to do is we just, well, that's come off as predicted. Right, now we're just going to push. Keep going. Okay, there we go. Not too much of a mess, that's okay. Right, okay, there we go. Push. Fantastic. Okay, whoops. Okay. So, It's all leaking out. Okay, it does happen, that happens. What we need to do is to obviously get that off if we can, and then we need to get the valve core back in as quickly as possible for obvious reasons. So we just put this in here and we just begin to screw it back in by hand. Hopefully you can see that, and then just tighten it up with our little tool like this. You can see that. There we go. Okay, nice and tight. Don't over tighten it, obviously. There we go, that's nice and tight, so that's all good. And then we just wipe off any excess here, which we've got quite a bit of, but not too bad. I won't bother with that now, I'll do that later. Let's just take another bit of kitchen towel. As I say, it's handy to have that around. And just wipe. It is important to wipe it off because it will go sort of rather gunky and horrible, because that's its job. And that's what's going to prevent the punctures. So now what we want to do is to pump that up, and that I'm going to do over here, if I can find it. Okay, so we get the pump, and hopefully you can see me doing this. Yeah. So we've got to undo, obviously, as we would normally do when we want to pump up a tyre. I'm just going to do that like that. Okay, so it's on, and then we just pump the tyre up as we normally would and keep it going. And then once we've got it up to a certain amount, this is not fully inflated, but I'm not going to bother with that for the minute. So we get that there like that. I'll finish pumping it up in a minute. For the moment, what's important is we give this tyre a spin. So I'll just come back down here and give it a spin, and what that does is it distributes the gunk, the sealant inside. Right, there we go. That should do it. Okay, and that's all it is. And then I'll pump up the tyre, finish it off, and you've got your sealant inside, and if you get any little punctures, it should, in that inner tube, it should seal them. It's fantastic for winter, particularly, obviously, when we've got lots of bits of flint and so on and so forth. But generally, I think this hack is a great one. One little thing, some people say, I'm not entirely convinced, but you're not allowed to use gas once you've got the gunk in, because it makes the gunk go solidified. So that's maybe one minor thing, but to be honest, if you're not going to get that many punctures, which you wouldn't, that doesn't really make much difference. I rode on a tyre for over 5,000 kilometres when I did my Tour de France gig a year and a half, couple of years ago, whenever it was, and didn't have a single puncture. When I say that, I did have a puncture because I knew the tyre had gone down a little bit. It was a little bit softer than it should have been, but it had sealed. So there you go. So as far as I'm concerned, this is as good as a tubeless tyre. In fact, it's better, because if you do get a problem, a big hole, and you need to take the tyre off and take the inner tube out, you can, and you haven't got gunk all over your hands, which, if you've ever tried to put an inner tube in a tubeless tyre with a massive great hole in it, you'll know is generally what you get when you're doing that. Anyway, enough from me. There you go. Gunk filled tyre ready to go.